Hi, everyone, and welcome to Friday Night Live. I'm your host, Crystal Fry, a woman's best friend. Tonight, we are talking about support. And we're talking about how you're going to identify your support system, and more importantly, how to ask for help from your support system when you need it. So before we get started, I want to take just a moment and welcome everyone into the show and let you know that we are broadcasting on 2 platforms tonight. So some of you are seeing me in our regular spot on my business page on Facebook. So I want to say hello to all of you and also to everyone who is joining us tonight on YouTube, as I am also streaming live there. So for those of you on YouTube, make sure you click subscribe and the little notification bell up at the top. So as you're coming in, say hello. If you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube, say hello so I can say hello back. And I am using StreamYard to go live, so be sure you give StreamYard permission to see your name so I can see them when your comments pop up. Okay, so tonight we are talking about your support system and how to ask for help when you need it. And this can actually be pretty difficult for some of us. It certainly was for me. And so raise your hand if, if you have had difficulty asking for help. Maybe you are I can do it all myself kind of person. Yep, that was me too. And I was that way for a very long time. And I even still catch myself from time to time in my former role as control freak over everything. And sometimes I forget that I need help. So I'm sure that there is at least one other person out there who can relate to that. So don't worry, you're not alone either. But I had to learn that it was okay to lean on other people when I needed some help. And from time to time, I would find myself in a situation where I did need help, and it wasn't always easy to remember that, hey, there are people who can help, who want to help, who want to be that support for you. You just have to let them in, right? And you have to ask for help when you need it. So that is what we're talking about tonight, because for me, it was even more difficult for me to ask for that help than it was for me to understand and realize that that I needed it in the first place. And I think one of the reasons why it's so difficult for some of us to ask for help is because, well, it kind of makes you feel like a failure. At least that's how I felt. Thankfully, I've learned a thing or two about needing help and asking for help. And so I am excited to share all of that with you tonight. But, that is one of the things about asking for help, especially if you're not accustomed to it and you are used to kind of shouldering that load by yourself. It makes you feel like you're not doing what you're supposed to do if you have to reach out and ask for help. Rest assured, that's not the case. So let's start with identifying your support system. So for anyone who's jumping on right now, we are talking about identifying your support system and how to ask for that help when you need it. So identifying your support system. Now, depending on where you are in life, your relationship status, whether or not you have children, how old they are, maybe you are a caregiver for an aging parent, whatever your life circumstances are, your support systems are going to look different, right? If you do not have any children, you don't need a babysitter. So, keep that in mind as we're going through this, that your support systems are going to look different based on where you are, what your circumstances are in life. When you have small children, you may need trusted people in your circle who can watch the kids while you run errands, or while you go to school or go to work, or while you go out on date night with your honey, right? If you have elderly parents and maybe you're their caregiver, you're going to need trusted people around you who can fill in for you every once in a while so that you can have, a little bit of a break, so that you can rest and refresh and be at your best for the people that you're taking care of. So support systems are going to vary based on your needs, based on your current circumstances. But there are some key things that you want to look for no matter what type of support you need. First, trust. No matter what it is that you need in a support system, trust is especially important when you are identifying that support system. When you have children and you're entrusting the care of your children, when you are caring for your elderly parents, and you have other human beings that you are taking care of, when you are entrusting their care to someone else, trust is incredibly important, no matter what kind of support that you need, because you need to know you can rely on that support when you need it, right? So trust is the first thing that you want to make sure is in place, okay? Next, you need to evaluate where you need that support in your life. What areas of your life need attention? Think about it. Is it childcare? Is it self-care? Is it finances, investing, starting a business? Maybe you need to know how to cook. Maybe you need to know, oh gosh, I don't know. There's any number of things that you could need support for. But as I said, based on your circumstances, you've got to evaluate your situation and identify where you need that help, where you need that support. And that is how you're going to be able to find the support that's right for you. One is knowing what you need. I mean, seriously, you probably wouldn't entrust your retirement decisions to the teenage babysitter who watches your kids while you go out on date night, right? I mean, unless they're like a financial genius, which if they are, I'm not quite sure why they're babysitting, unless they're using their babysitting money to invest. But, anything's possible. But, think about that as you are evaluating what kind of support you need. What are those areas where you really need it so that you know what to look for? And then once you've identified those areas of support and you have found that trusted individual or individuals, depending on what it is that you need, then comes the fun part, asking for that help. That was hands down the most difficult part for me, was asking for that help, because even though I had a lot of support around me, and I still do have a lot of support around me, but I was so accustomed to being that, I've got this, I can do it all by myself. It was really difficult for me to actually ask for that support when I needed it. And the sad thing is that, like I said, I had tons of people around me who would have gladly given it to me if I had asked for it. So that is one of the things that I really want to hone in on, is how you ask for that support and why we don't ask for that support. And feel free to drop your comments in here as to why you don't ask for support, or why you think some people don't ask for help when they need it. I did a little poll about this earlier, and some of the things that came out, and I've asked a few people as well, some of the things that have come out of that are pride. Maybe we're too proud to ask for help, because again, if we ask for help, maybe we feel like a failure. And so in some kind of way, it almost makes more sense for us to fail on our own rather than ask for help. And some of the other things that folks gave me some feedback on was maybe they have trouble finding their voice when they need to ask for help. They have trouble speaking up for themselves. And I can relate to that as well, because speaking up, especially when it's for yourself, sometimes that's not really all that easy to do. Depending upon your circumstances, depending upon your situation, sometimes it's really hard to raise your hand and say, hey, look, I need help here. Maybe you're the person that everyone else depends on. Maybe you're the person who normally takes care of everything. Maybe you are the support system for everyone else that you know. And maybe that's why you struggle to find your voice when it's time for you to ask for help. And again, I can relate to that. Absolutely, 100%. I can relate to the fact that sometimes not asking for help is because you are being stubborn about something. That kind of falls back into that pride category, not being too proud to ask for help, but maybe being too stubborn to ask for it when you need it. And sometimes that's a little bit of a character defect that some of us have, that we can be stubborn and really it hurts us to have to ask for help, especially if it's something that you're normally really good at, or that you normally have control over. And, circumstances have reached a point where you just can't do it all and you need that help. But sometimes you're a little too stubborn to ask for it. I got it. I've been there multiple times. You can ask lots of people around me. But the thing is that when we don't ask for that help that we need, when we are not getting that support that we need from our support system because we are not asking for it, we're actually really doing ourselves a huge disservice, because the people who are around us that we have in our lives to support us, and whether that is, a spouse, whether that is a parent, whether that is, a child, maybe you are at a stage in your life where you have older children, maybe even adult children, and they're more than willing to help you, but you don't ask for it. You're doing yourself a disservice, and you're also, quite frankly, you're doing them a disservice as well, because they likely get joy out of helping you, and you're kind of denying them that opportunity. So keep that in mind as well. And when you have people around you, whether financial advisors, whether they're business advisors, coaches, any of those kind of things, you have those people around you for the purpose of supporting you, and you don't use them. Instead, you try to figure it out on your own. Maybe if it's something that you're really not familiar with, but you try to do it anyway, that you're doing a disservice to yourself. If you are, I'm going to give a real life example here. If you are a creative person and it is your, it's your lane to create content, to create, whatever it is, and you decide that you want a website. So you think, okay, well, I'm a smart person. I can do this, right? And you get in and you start and you struggle and you struggle and you struggle. And you waste time, precious time that you could be spending on your gifts, on your talents, trying to do something that is not in your lane at all. You're wasting your time when there are any number of wonderful web designers who can pull this out. They can do it in their sleep. That's their gift and their talent. And when you are wasting your time not fulfilling, what you should be doing, instead of going over and asking someone who it's their talent to do what you need to have done, that's a waste of time. It's a waste of resource, and you don't need to do it. And again, guilty of all of it, because I didn't want to ask for help. I thought I'd do everything by myself, right? I got this. Don't worry about it. I got it all. But life is a lot easier when you've got a good support system and you can learn to ask for help when you need it. So do me a favor, take a look around, identify the areas where you need some support. It does not mean, and I want to make sure I'm very clear on this, Needing help, needing support in no way, shape, or form means that you are a failure. It in no way, shape, or form means that you are not good enough. It simply means that you recognize you have certain gifts and talents, as do other people. And we are put here on this earth to help support each other, to serve each other. And so if you're trying to do everything by yourself, one, you're likely denying yourself a happy existence because you're so consumed with trying to do everything by yourself. But two, you're also denying other people the opportunity to share their gifts with you and help you and support you. So that is what I have for you tonight on identifying your support systems and learning to ask for help when you need it. Again, we are streaming live tonight on 2 platforms, on Facebook and on YouTube. So for all of my Facebookers, thank you so much for joining live. Feel free to like and share the video, tag someone who may need to see this information. And for all of my folks on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the little bell at the top so that you get notified the next time we are live. And until next week, I will see you all again on Friday night. I hope you have a wonderful week. I am Crystal Fry, a woman's best friend, teaching women to see themselves, love themselves, and transform into themselves, into the women they were created to be. Have a great night.